Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today we're going to get messages from the Fae. I do this every once in a while. I haven't done it for a while actually, but it's always quite popular. People seem to like to connect with the Fae energy. And I understand that. It's very mysterious, it's very ancient, it's a little bit alien, but also somehow familiar. It's sort of, we think of our upbringing with, fairy stories and all that kind of thing. So it's very, very powerful sort of energy for us. But it's an interesting energy because you talk to people about the Fae who study it and who believe in it and so forth. They will often say that there is a lot that the Fae can do in interacting with humans, but they can all, that is very positive. But they can also be trickster energy as well. And sometimes within the heart of the trick is actually the teaching or learning. But they are their own community. They are their own tribe, I guess, their own race, whatever kind of nomenclature you want to put on it. And they have their own motives and so forth. So it's sort of like dealing with two different families that have, like potentially sometimes competing and sometimes aligned interests. So we're going to look at it on that level. We're going to look at what the messages are, what truth and power they bring, but also where there could be a trickster energy, a play on words, look for the heart of this and work out where you sit compared to those that are bringing the message to you, that kind of thing. We'll look at your power and what other things can guide you in making the most of the message. So what I've designed into this is 3 members of the Fae coming forward to give a combined energy, like what the message is overall. One of them is shown here. So I shuffled and asked Spirit to bring forth one of the 3 to help with the choice and maybe a bit of the theme of the message that might help you decide what you feel drawn to. You can, of course, go to more than one. There could be messages in every single one of them from the Fae for you, so that's completely up to you. But to help with the choice, for pile number 1 we have the Ancient, talking about elder experience and lessons. For pile number 2 we have Arwen, gift, divine inspiration and awakening. And for pile number 3 we have the Green Witch, fresh, new and spring. So the imagery, the person, let's call it person, but like the fairy concerned or fairy folk or elven folk concerned may draw you. Whatever works for you. Go to whatever readings you want, but the timestamps are in the description box below, so I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Ancient. So that is pretty much what it says. This is a very ancient energy, a very ancient member of the Fae who brings experience lessons, is an elder of the tribe. This is about you coming into wisdom, coming into maturity. So there's something in all of this which is about you taking on a position of authority, power, leadership, and it doesn't have to be necessarily kind of hierarchical leadership. It can be thought leadership, it can be spiritual leadership, but there's something here about you bringing your wisdom, what you've experienced in your life. You're at that point that you're ready to step forward, and there's 2 parts of you stepping forward. When we look at the 2 other members of the Fae, we have the King of the Darkwood Elves, who is a king, and so what he is bringing is authority, credibility, status. There is definitely something like that they want to talk to you about, but it's also he brings together people in groups, brings together other strong people. It's like bringing the team together in some way. So if this is in a workplace, it could be moving into a position of authority and getting your team together. If it's around something spiritual, it's finding your spiritual family. But there's a kind of interesting sense of having that wisdom and that age and authority to kind of lead, but it's almost in this potentially leading with other strong people. So it'd be analogous to in a workplace that the clever, the mature manager will actually bring together people who are equally skilled, but just in different ways as they are. And their role is to be the leader, to bring it all together, to create the Gestalt effect, to get something to be greater, the whole being greater than the sum of the parts, all of that kind of energy. But it is the wisdom to bring in others who are strong, others who are talented, rather than feeling threatened by that. And I think it's because you have a sense, and there's an increasing sense of what is coming through as the future, your own future. So there's a sense of destiny maybe here when you look at these 2 combined, but also that there is an imperative. There is like a problem to solve or a new way of thinking and a new world to be born. Because with Volva, prophecy, guidance, direction, she is a seer. She is a witch who sees the future. And there's something very material about this and very grounded to the earth. It's very 3D, I have to say. It's got a very strong psychic connection. It's very, like spiritual knowledge, the sense of like kind of almost magical authority, and the seer energy. But she really encourages you to connect to your ancestral roots, to delve into the world, to root yourself in the world, to really, really see what your future is and the impact of you and of those around you on the future. So I feel this is a message for people. I think you'll know if you've come to the right reading, because I think the message they're talking about is some level of responsibility that brings with it recognition, status, or whatever. It comes from a wisdom that you have. It also comes from a capacity to see into the future, either as a prophet or a seer, or just as someone who can understand the consequences of things. Again, it interests me. If I looked at this from almost a very 3D workplace perspective, from the sort of work that I did before I started my YouTube channel, the smart manager, as I say, if they have a problem to solve, a new organisation to set up, a new line of business, whatever it is, knows the consequences of just filling their team to fit their ego. If they are going, oh well, I've always got to be best and I've always got to be the one who knows everything, and so I'll get lesser people than me. And believe me, that does happen. The consequences of that are usually pretty disastrous for whatever the enterprise is trying to do. However, if someone has the wisdom to understand their role is in the kind of leadership, the management, the bringing the team together, the releasing of their talents so that it can work, they see the consequences of that because they can see into the future and know that's what's going to be successful. So that's just a very 3D way of describing it, but there's something like that, whether it's spiritual, whether it's around social, political, relational sort of energy, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's on a creative project. There is more than one person involved in this. You are bringing in other people with other skills because you can see what is necessary, but you have the wisdom to do it. So as I say, there's something very much about that for you. But whether you literally sit in a hierarchical position above them or whether you're just a thought leader and an inspirer and a gatherer of people, you have a natural authority because of that. And they want you to recognize that because there is something in the future you can see coming, and there's something very, very grounded and very impactful that you can do. So let's get a little bit more information from them about the message that they're bringing. Then we're going to, as I say, see what the real power and truth is in this, and then also see where either they could be tricking you or you could trick yourself, so that you manage the message in the best way possible. It'd be a bit hard to trick you, to be honest, but nevertheless, we can sometimes be tricked, even if we do see the consequences of things. So, and that can be by elliptical information or people, telling us untruths or misinformation, that kind of thing. So let's see a little bit more about the message to you. 5 of Cups, King of Pentacles. It's very much about creating a legacy in the leader. Chariot reversed, 9 of Wands reversed, Temperance, Queen of Pentacles. Okay. I would say for a start, it's saying that there are a group of people, but there are probably 2 very key people. And it doesn't really, you can think King and Queen of Pentacles on a gender base if you like, and maybe it's a man and a woman, but it doesn't really have to be that. But I see the King and Queen as very much similar in energy and similar in authority in the tarot. So there is at least one equal to you. And this was saying strong people. And there may be that you're co-creating something, or it could be that you have one particular part of the leadership and someone else has another part, and together you actually bring the people together that's necessary. But there's something like starting a dynasty here, and like whether it's literally also connecting with family and that sort of thing, like bringing that together and making that work, or whether it's creating a kind of a family in a workplace or a social group or something like that. It is very grounded. It's very material. So that's part of the thing to understand. This is not just a theoretical thing. This is to create something of lasting value in the world. It's coming off something that was disappointing. So it's almost as though part of what is giving you has unlocked the seer ability and unlocked the understanding of what your role is that you might have tried this before and you didn't have the right people around you or the timing wasn't quite right. They're saying now you have matured to the point it is going to work for you. So you are ready to do this. But they are saying that at the moment you're worried about the fallout effect with others. You're worried about like either team dynamics, if it's in a team, or the way that others are going to respond to you moving forward with this. So the key thing that you're meant to bring to this in the understanding of the consequences of things is how to find balance amongst the people involved. Like it really is a bit like, I don't know, if you've got a bunch of geniuses of different sorts in a room to solve a problem, each of them are used to being the genius. So that's almost like that sort of feeling. And so it's kind of like, well, now we've got a bunch of geniuses. So they all have to kind of respect each other. Like it's bringing balance into that and showing all the different elements and how they work together in harmony, how they become a good recipe for something is what makes it lasting. And I feel like there's at least one other person who's going to be around this who helps you with that. In fact, they may be particularly good at that side of things, and you're kind of good at you might have been the original person who started something that didn't work. So you're the kind of originator of something. You're the one who's the, and I'm going to use this very, very loosely, patriarch or matriarch of the thing. You're the kind of the one that wants to give birth to something new, but there's someone who can really support that by knowing how to balance all the egos in the room so that it doesn't get stopped because of ego issues, because I think it feels like it did before in whatever this was. So it feels largely like something in a workplace or something creative or a business or something like that. But as I say, it could play out around some sort of social group, some sort of political group, something like that, even a spiritual group. But this is understanding the consequences of not recognizing the array of strengths. And you get that now. You see that. And you can see that's the ingredient you need to make this happen. So as I say, I think you'll know if this is your reading. So let's see, what power or truth are they bringing you in this? What is the really key message you need to hear from this trio of the Fae? Six of Pentacles right here. It's all about equality. Right straight out of the gate, okay? Ace of Cups reversed. Seven of Pentacles reversed. The Moon. Nine of Cups. Yeah, look, they're diagnosing why something didn't work for you, or confirming to you a suspicion you had about why something didn't work. And it is all about equality. Because what they're talking about past that is what happens when that isn't there. Without the equality, the heart of it isn't there. This is definitely about something that you're meant to bring into the world, and it's definitely about something you have to work with others. So it's saying that without equality, the heart isn't there. It doesn't grow. Without, if the cup is overturned, it does not water the plants do not grow. And this is the mystery that your seer-like ability is meant to see this, because what you want to achieve, the dream you want to achieve, is within grasp, but you can't access it until this stuff, this mystery, this understanding is brought to the table. And I think they're saying that your strength here is your seer-like ability. You can see the consequences of things. You can see what is coming. That is a big part of how you will inspire others. You bring the mystery, make the mystery and the aim more important than the egos associated with it. That's what's happening here. And then you can kind of double down on, we are equal here. We are equal here. And I feel like it's also that you could really see, you out of all the group could really see whatever this could be. But it's almost as though you deliberately keep some of it a mystery so that everybody is involved in defining what the outcome is rather than just you. So I feel like you've learnt something. You've learned something from having an idea, running with it, and then running into egos and running into all sorts of other issues, and it didn't work. And now you kind of know you have to be a bit more stealthy about it. You are meant to inspire, but that's what you do. You inspire. You treat everybody as equals. You get the most talented people around it in some way, and then you move forward. That stops this from happening. So it really is about understanding how to manage egos. But I do think there's someone else who can help you there. And I almost feel on that level too, it's the moon, like you're the sun almost in this. You're the initiator, but the moon is also there, the sun-moon balance, the temperance, the sense of the alchemical balance. A power couple potentially, that kind of thing. But amongst equals, that's the interesting thing. You're the prime initiator, the prime mover, but nevertheless, it can only really become what it needs to be with equals joining in. So this is a very interesting and delicate sort of situation. So where could they kind of either trick you, or you could misunderstand what they're saying, Or they may even have some interest in what is coming with this that is influencing what they're talking to you. So what do you need to be wary of in this message? Nine of Swords, Judgment reversed, Seven of Cups, Queen of Cups reversed. Okay. One of the things, this message is meant to make you understand how you can kind of connect the dots to get the outcome you want and the importance of what it is that you're trying to do, but also where it could go wrong. What could become a trickster energy, or what could become a difficult or misleading energy, is if you worry too much about how you're going to be judged by others. And if you feel as though, am I seeing the future true? Like you might wonder, are they showing me the truth? Is it true? Am I understanding this? Am I getting it? So there's a kind of a combination of, you could get, you could start to sort of like feel like things are an illusion or not possible if you start to feel either, I don't know how to do this, without upsetting people. Like there's a lot of judgment. I'm bringing a lot of judgment to this, like am I judging people unfairly even in thinking that there's, kind of competition. So there is a possibility that gets lost, or that this heart energy, like what this is really about, it's like there's a side to this where the really difficult balance you've got is that you really are the initiator. You really do know. You're, as I say, you're the sun, and I do think there's a moon energy that will help you, another person, but you are the initiator. You have the vision, but they are saying to you, you can only create this with others, and you need equals, and you need to be able to let them be part of deciding it. I think the issue could be that you might step a little bit, the risk of this message is you could step a little bit too back from your initial design and your initial vision to keep it all open for everyone. So there is a balance. It's all about temperance. There is a balance here. So it's like if you were a novelist and your novel is being made into a movie. There is quite a lot of changes that could happen because you have like all kinds of different creatives or whatever. But it's like there's still like a core of what that novel is about. And it's like if you can liaise in with that and either write the script or be connected with the writers or have some sort of control over that to some degree and make sure that's there, then that works fine. But if you feel like you have no control over it because in the end everybody else kind of mixes up the recipe and the recipe is no longer going to come out as this really nice chocolate cake, it just comes out as sludge, then that's the other way. So like if you felt it failed one time before because you were too controlling, but then on the other hand, not being controlling enough, it's like getting that balance right. So they could make you tilt more towards decisions by committee. And sometimes that's going to work, but sometimes it's not. So I think that's the thing that you need to balance. It's a tricky energy. So what is your power, your kind of magical power around all of this? So we already know you have seer-like ability, but like what else helps you here? Mask. You know how to hide yourself and present yourself as is necessary for this. So you can do it. And astral realm. Yeah, you can go into the future. You can go into liminal space. You're very connected to that. So when you're not sure, you can almost, I put these together, you can almost travel the astral realms a bit in disguise to maybe get information and energy around what's going on with the others around this. So that you know how best to balance that, and so that you can still have some influence on the longer term thing without dishonoring or betraying the talents of those that are there. But like you can look at alternatives, and this is sort of like you can see the future, but you can kind of disguise yourself when you need to do it. Like, and I'm getting this really odd sort of feeling like you could almost go to the wise one again with a mask and just see whether the same sort of message is being given. So there is sort of something here where you could stress test whether or not the message that's coming to you here is meant to get you to the outcome you want, or whether there's something else that's being influenced. So if you need that, and if you are trying to find that out around other people, you can do that as well. So I think that you are able to be stealthy when it's necessary. Let's get a couple of other sort of spiritual gifts or pieces of advice that connect with these for you. Aura reader. Okay. So you are able to disguise yourself and present yourself in whatever way you need, but you read other people really, really well. Like you can pick up the energies. And it may be particularly in the liminal space that you see it, but I think you have an ability to read a room and see the energy. So I think, as long as the energy is clear, all the colours is great. But if the energy gets a bit muddy or a bit difficult, then that's sort of something to watch out for, because you're balancing something with a lot of parties involved, I think. And chakra healer, clearing and balancing. So you can, if you see something in the aura or anything that you feel is sort of representing the chakra system that is getting things out of balance, you're able to heal that energy. So you do have a healing thing. Maybe that's it. This kind of looks a bit shamanic. You might have a kind of shamanic ability in the astral realm to heal the balance of power here and to make it work when it seems to be going off task, and to influence the outcome. I mean, if it is a bit shamanic, the shaman were strong leaders in their tribe. They had a point of view, and you have the initiating energy here. Your point of view is valid, and you are meant to get from what your initial idea is to its resolution, its culmination. But it's like, to get there, you need to be able to balance all these other movable parts with other people. So this is some ability, in reading the energy that is around you to be able to do it, and to be able to make sure that the guidance you're getting from the Fae is taking you towards the outcome and that you're seeing it clearly. You can almost stress test it, as I say, in the astral level. So what everyday energies is this really touching on? Because I do think this is very material for you. Tattoo, who you are. There's something about how you present yourself to others that's associated with this. And it may even be that that's part of bringing the right people together, finding your tribe, finding those who have a similar sort of presentation or who fit. So there's something about presentation that's associated with this on an everyday level. It's like you wear the uniform, or you all wear the hat, or you all, I don't know, wear the ring, or have a tattoo thing. There's sort of something about allegiance associated with this. And toxic, being able to deal with toxic energy. So I don't think the people that you're bringing together per se are toxic, but when you have that amount of talent and that amount of ego, it can go toxic. So having the unifying thing, the unifying tribal force helps avoid that, helps avoid the kind of splintering. And you probably saw that before. So let's just get a couple of pieces of advice around each of those. So around the unifying force, the marker of this group. Okay, this is not something that is meant to be overall a life lesson for any of you. I think it's saying all of you are ready. All of you have what you need. It's not like one is going to lead on all of this, because they're sort of wiser or whatever. Like if you look at these three, they're all very powerful. There's a king, there's a wise one, and then there's a seer. They're all very powerful. So it's a similar sort of thing. It's like, this is not something that any of you who are involved are kind of doing just for a life lesson. You're doing it because you're the right people at the right time. And that's part of what identifies you. And around the toxic, don't wait till tomorrow. If you think anything is starting to go off the rails, and particularly if astrally you've picked that up, don't wait till tomorrow. Address it straight on, because this will be a group of people that are actually, you are all really on the same page, and you are all wanting the same thing. You are connecting. But as I say, it's all very different. So it's different perspectives. And that can make it really great, or it can splinter it a bit. So it's like, don't wait if that sort of thing happens. So let's just get a few cards, astrological card energy, to also guide you. So firstly, we have Uranus in the first house, Seeking personal liberation. Yeah, you are the first point. You're the change agent. You're the energy of the new. You're the seeing the future. It's part of who you are in the first house. You're meant to be seeing. You're meant to be kind of the face of this as well. And that might be something you have to balance out. But you are the kind of, and there is something freeing about this energy, but it's also something that is deeply grounded in the earth. It is necessary in the world. And it needs to have the freedom to do it, and to change, but it needs to create something in a lasting way. Then we have Saturn. That makes sense. Then Saturn in the fifth house, Leo. Become your own inner authority. And this is probably true. It's maybe a mantra for everybody. Everybody's an inner authority of their piece of this, and this creates the legacy. Everybody has the freedom to be that as well in the group. I think this is like a recipe for how to do it. And lastly, we have the North Node, fourth house in Cancer, be open-hearted. Yeah, it's like inclusive, be inclusive. This is kind of your soul family coming together, but you're all really powerful. It's kind of like you're all, the best analogy I would have is you're all the family in, Mount Olympus, in sort of Greek or Roman mythology. You're all kind of gods within your own area, but you are family as well. And it's getting that kind of a balance. That's the sort of thing we're talking about, that you're meant to kind of be the prime mover and the inspirer and the sort of alchemical balance of. So it's really interesting. So no pressure on you, pole one, as I sometimes say, but this is exciting. It's a really exciting energy, and it's this time. You're ready. So let's just get you one last piece of advice from the Enchanted Forest, where we would find, of course, the Fae. Exactly as you are. The one who is always dissatisfied with the present moment will never have a better future. Give yourself permission to feel content here, right now, and here now and right now. So you are in the right place. You are ready. The discontent you're probably feeling is the sense of the future. So focus that. Know where you are right now. You're in the right place. The right position to move forward, and any disappointments from the past is actually going to fuel your knowledge and wisdom to be able to inspire and lead. That's what this is about, but it is with equals. So you have to know your own power here. So we have a dragon here to give you that sense of yourself. So really interesting. I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Arwen, the gift, divine inspiration, awakening. The two other members of the Fae that are along with Arwen here are Dura, healer, nourishment and nurture, and the Queen of the Darkwood, elves, premonition, foreshadowing, mystery. I actually think this group is saying the message goes 1, 2, 3, because we're looking at a progression here. And this is the preparation. This is the changing point, and this is the sense of why it's occurring. This is about a spiritual awakening. This is about the awakening of significant spiritual gifts, and a sense of that being in preparation for something big coming. So it could be a great love. It could be a big change in your life in some way. It could be a big job that's coming up. It could be a big political or social cause. It could be some natural disaster that you're going to be helping with, it, like anything, but it's big, whatever it is. But it's also very mystical. And you're meant to prepare for it. So, and why I'm saying that is you start with Jura, and this is about healing. This is about nourishment. She comes to say you need to fortify yourself. You need to build up your own strength at the moment. Your health needs to be good. Something is coming. You need to have a good diet. You need to get plenty of sleep. You need to look at your stress levels. You need to think about, your kind of immune system, all of those sort of things. Not necessarily because some awful disease is coming, but there is something that you are going to be called upon in some way as a result of this. And it could be something relatively small but important to you, or it could be something very big. But either way, you have to be ready for it. It would be like you're about to be asked to be an Olympic athlete and you haven't even walked a couple of kilometres around the house or something. So it's like you're being asked to do that. Because Arwen is about the blinding light of inspiration. It is something new, and it changes you and your life forever. So sorry, this is pretty big. This is big. It is like the best way to describe it is like a spiritual awakening. The book for the deck talks about it's like you're shown, the veil is lifted and you're shown the face of the divine. It's like once this has occurred, you can't be the same. You can't look at your spirituality the same. If it was some sort of like piece of information that came to you that you didn't know about the world or the way the world works, you can't be politically the same. You can't be socially the same. It depends on what it is, but there is a revelation coming. And once it happens, you change. But it also awakens you, which then brings you to the Queen of the Darkwood Elves. This is about premonition, foreshadowing, mystery. She is a powerful queen in the elven world, and she sees the future and she understands when something big is coming. She foreshadows. She may well be the midwife in a way of this revelation, but that probably will depend upon who's come to the reading. This is, once you've seen this, you understand something about the world, you understand something, and you can feel something. You can feel it in your bones, and you'll be right about it, and you need to be prepared. Now, this doesn't mean it's something really awful, but it is something that is testing. It is something that's challenging, and it's something that's transformational. So pretty significant. So let's get what we can about the message, because it may not be able to tell us a lot about what it is, because it's probably going to depend upon who comes to the reading. We're then going to have a look at what is the most powerful and truthful thing they're telling you, and then we're going to look at where could they be tricking you at worst, or you might not be understanding them, or they may have their own interests that kind of align but also have their own vested interests, as I say, where you need to be wary or think for yourself as well. So let's see first of all a bit more about the message that they're bringing to you. 10 of Wands, 8 of Cups, 5 of Wands. Yeah, there's something you need to heal from before anything can happen. Wheel of Fortune reversed, the Hierophant reversed, the 4 of Pentacles. Okay. So I suddenly had a flash of something, so I'm going to say it. I don't know why, but this made me think of it. This makes me feel of the story of St. Francis of Assisi. So St. Francis was born into wealth and privilege and lived much of his young life in that way, and then he had experiences where he saw the poor and he felt the spiritual calling about that, and after that he could no longer live the life of privilege, and so he spent his life helping the poor, communicating a lot with nature and with animals, which is interesting, but his whole frame of reference shifted. Now, I'm not saying all of you are going to suddenly become St. Francis, but there's something of that order around this. It hasn't happened yet. It's coming. That's why I'm saying this is the first bit. This is what Jura is talking about. You're carrying too much at the moment, a lot of emotional pain, a lot of conflict. You have to kind of find a way to release that out of your energy, because something's coming where you're going to have a very different understanding of the universe, of spirituality, of a political, social system, something like that. And you're going to be asked to hold things together. Even within yourself, there's huge change going on. Is you need to be able to feel strong within yourself, because at the moment you're kind of exhausted. And as I say, carrying quite a lot of emotional stuff from conflicts before. It may be a revelation you get in a conflict that completely changes your view on what's going on. So, people on either side of the political spectrum in America at the moment, you see people going, oh, I didn't realise this about the other side, and now I'm switching sides, and it's happening all over the place. And so I'm not arguing one way or the other about either side in the political spectrum there, because I try to stay separate to that. But it's a very interesting thing to see. There seems to be that kind of energy is around, and I suspect it's partly because Pluto's just gone into Aquarius, which shifts the whole perspective of what is transformational and what is big in this sort of level. Because it's shifting from the old structures of Capricorn moving into the future-oriented structures of Aquarius. So you may be very connected to that energy, but for you it kind of kicks in after you've done something to fortify yourself. So I feel like the Fae here are kind of holding off on you seeing what you're meant to see until you're ready. But what you're being required to do, if you're going to get this revelation and have the change, or get the revelation without it driving you mad, to be honest, you need to have looked after yourself. So do that first. Then at the right time, the veil is lifted, that all the traditions and whatever, whether it's around politics or spirituality or something in an organization or even something around a relationship, like whatever was hidden is revealed. And it's like in that, when you see what's coming, you're going to be asked to kind of be a foundation and a rock. Wow. Okay. So what's really powerful and true in what they're talking about here that you really have to take seriously? Pile 2. The Emperor reversed, the Knight of Swords reversed, the Sun reversed, the Page of Swords. A lot of this is under the surface at the moment, the Pearl to bring in the new. Okay. So it's very true at the moment that this is hidden. Very true. It has something to do with power. And it is saying that power will change fairly slowly. It's big, but it's slow. It does have to do with your life direction, but at the moment, you're not even aware of what that is. It's not what you think it is. Like whatever you think you're here to do, you're going to find out you're here to do something else. And that's going to be part of the revelation. And it's very easy to misinterpret it if you aren't feeling solid and not feeling grounded. Like it really is like a very profound spiritual awakening where, as I say, to experience it without having the grounding, it could make you go a bit crazy. It'd be like, taking, I don't know, medicinal substances or whatever, like some people do, and not being grounded enough to deal with what you see. So this is why it's very important to do this, because you're going to be shown something very profound, and it is connected to your life path, and it wakes up your life path. But it's easy to misinterpret, partly because it is so new. Like you're both suddenly given this huge amount of information and understanding about the universe or whatever this situation is, and at the same time you're like an innocent child, like, oh, what do I do with this? So you need to take this seriously. This is why it's like it is about shifting power dynamics in one form or another, and it's part of what you're here for, and you didn't know. You didn't know. But when it occurs, everything shifts. I don't know why, maybe because of the forest thing, but I suddenly sort of like saw Robin Hood as well, like the moment at which he realizes that he needs to do what he does against the sort of like corrupt political environment that was around at his time, that kind of thing. Like I'm just seeing kind of historical analogies to this, but it could be in any aspect of your life, but it's profound and it shifts everything. So it is possible to misinterpret it. Even the Fae are saying here, like they're telling you it's possible to misinterpret. It's possible to misinterpret it. So let's see what you could misinterpret or what they could influence you in a way that's not necessarily your life path with here if they want something out of it. King of Swords, Seven of Wands, Six of Pentacles reverse. Oh, yeah, reverse, Ten of Swords. Okay. This is interesting. It's got a little bit of similarity to one of the other readings. Different. It is different, but the thing that's similar is that you are meant to come into a knowing authority, but with equals. It's not about sort of suddenly having a vision and that makes you know more than everybody else and so you're superior to everyone else. If it becomes a competitive thing, if it's like I'm the one with the vision and that's it, then it doesn't really work for you, or it can lead you astray. And it can lead to a kind of defeat of what was meant to come out of this. It is meant to be about equals. It is about moving from a system which was about some form of hierarchy to something that is more equal. And that's what's necessary, but it's easy to get caught up in it when you are the champion of this and you've had the vision, to get caught up in the battle and therefore in some sort of like replication of the old rather than bringing in the truly new. And that's the other thing about it, because it is really new. Like this changes you profoundly and it's almost like you become a child again and it's like, who am I? It's the same sort of thing. Like the natural thing would be to go, oh, I'll reconstruct myself on what I was in the past. So there's a sort of a thing there about being able to be humble enough in the moment to have seen this and be able to have the courage to move forward in that humbleness with others so that it can be achieved rather than defeated. It's an interesting thing because it's like there isn't a set pathway for it. The only thing I think that they're saying, and I think it is important to hear it because I think it's accurate, but it's where you could get misled. So it's like it's important to hear is that the path is different. Whatever it is, you cannot double back on that past path. You cannot. You're not even relying in many ways on what you've done before or what you've understood before. And that would be the trick. If you thought, oh well, I've seen this because I have X, Y, and Z experience, and I'm the one. That's not really why this is happening. This is you've been asleep, Paul, and I'm not saying this as a criticism. You've been asleep to who you really are. This is going to shift you significantly, profoundly, like a newborn. And it's because you're here for a reason, but you couldn't know the reason before now. But like the one thing where you could go wrong is to somehow aggrandize it and say, then I'm the leader and that's because of all the things in the past. Because it's not. This is like grace. This is like an act of grace and being chosen, but chosen in innocence. As I say, like that's why I was thinking like Francis of Assisi. He went from like being kind of like privileged to like the exact opposite, but he followed his true calling. Robin Hood probably would have been better off not being Robin Hood. Like any of those sort of things. Those are the kind of analogies I think that operate with this. So wow, okay, let's see what power you bring to this. What kind of witchy or fae kind of power within yourself you bring to this. Wow, this came up for one of the others. So this may be, you could be connected to one of the other readings, but equally, it's like being able to hide when you need to, wear a mask when you need to. Because if you have gone through a profound change, you might have to almost still wear the mask of the past until you start to navigate the future. You may also need to wear a mask of authority or clarity before you even feel that you have it. You are able to do that. You are able to cloak yourself in something if you need to. And exorcism. Wow. Wow. I just heard, and when I saw the face of God, I saw the face of the devil. And that's not saying they're the same. But like, I think, at that moment of like innocence, like pure innocence of the change, you need to be able to exercise, not only like getting yourself healthy, but exercise any negative energy around you. And hide from that as well too, because if you've got something destined to do, even as I say, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a world leader for this. The most profound things can be done by people in a sort of small space with a few people that ripples out. So it doesn't have to be huge on the world stage, but it's important, it's pivotal. And therefore, as a kind of energy of light, you see how much light she has? It's drawing dark energy. So I think, and I don't think the Queen of the Dark Wood Elves is dark, but that those energies are around as well too. So your capacity to hide when you need and exercise negative energy is part of the reason why this is happening for you or happening to you, part of the reason why grace is coming. Okay, so let's just get another couple of spiritual gifts or advice or pathways that are connected to these two. So around the mask, indigo child, beta generation, born between 1968 and 1978. You don't have to be that age, but some of you might be. If not, I would actually say there's a couple of things. I always say with the indigo child when it comes up here, it's just saying there's many psychic gifts that you have and they're going to become heightened. And that's what I would expect from this anyway, even if it's some sort of social or political thing that you're changing in. There's a very strong psychic energy to it. But I wouldn't mind betting that there's something about 1968 to 1978 about what was going on culturally or socially that is maybe closing out now. I just feel like that's, and it'd be interesting, like the big planetary movements around that time, because I feel like maybe it's the shifting of, it's the passing of a baton from one generation to another. So you may even know someone who's psychic who's in that sort of age group. And then in terms of exorcism, starseed. Okay, so this is probably saying part of the reason this is happening is that your kind of home was somewhere else and you came here for a reason, and maybe this is you become aware of that. You may literally become aware of the starseed energy, and maybe you were involved in sort of starseed battles with very dark energies before. But that's like, it's different how it's still different, or alien. You know, I think I said alien, something alien about this in this world. So it could be connecting with that, or it could be having to detach from and exercise the kind of darker starseed connections as well. So it's interesting. There's a lot of like attention on you because of the light you're shining from the sort of more tricky areas of the spiritual realm, I think, while this is going on. Let's see on an everyday level what's sort of happening with it. Strength. Look at this. Yeah, you're coming into strength. But it's also you've got to build the strength first. I think there's a very strong message here. Like, look to your diet, look to your sleep patterns, look to all of that. There's something to be withstood here, but it might just be the force of revelation. But nevertheless, you need to be strong. And chemistry, okay. You will probably find a connection with someone else as a result of this. It could bring in a very significant relationship, potentially, if you're looking for that. Otherwise, it's, again, I think it's the physical chemistry. You've got to get that in balance. It's like saying it over and over. Do not underestimate how significant this is. Okay, let's get you a couple of pieces of advice about each of these things. So around the building of the strength. Yeah, this is the beginning, not the end. Like, the revelation is the beginning. It's not the end. This is a marathon that you're preparing for. But it is also a shift. I mean, it's not the end of the world. We're not, like in the end times necessarily or anything like that. I mean, I guess we could be. But if that's the case, even that isn't what it appears, because there's a new world waiting to be born. And then in terms of the chemistry, yeah, there's no way out of this. Sorry. You don't get to choose whether you do this. It's going to happen. So you've got to prepare. So let's get you some stars to guide you. These have been pretty significant, these messages from the Fae. So, okay, so firstly, we have North Node. That doesn't surprise me, moving towards something. First house, be assertive. Yeah, this will be you coming into your own power and your own knowledge. And again, when you change, it's like, can you imagine Francis of Assisi being able to just sort of sit and eat and drink with his privileged friends after that? Like, he had to assert who he actually had become. We have Moon in the 5th house in Leo, needs to be needed by others. So that may be one of the things that you have to kind of build for, because it may be that if you see something way before others, there could be a thing where you have to go on a path on your own and like leave some responsibilities to do this, or others may not understand at first, and you're just going to need to be strong to know that. Eventually they'll need what you want, but maybe not initially. And we have Sun in the 5th house in Leo, pleasure. Take pleasure in becoming who you're meant to be. Take pleasure in the sun coming up, even if it feels really different to what you expected. I also feel too, because you see someone who almost looks like they're singing, I think you're meant to vocalize something. I think you're meant to say something. Wow. Okay. So to finish off, we're just going to get you a last piece of advice from the Enchanted Forest, since that's where we would have met the Fae. Let go. Let go of negative people and toxic beliefs. Your time on earth is precious. Invest it wisely and be mindful of who you spend time with. So it is going to be important, once this has happened, who you spend time with. That will start to mark out how you can do things. And that's also why you can't go back in a way. There's a kind of moving forward. It doesn't mean you have to lose every friend you've ever had or anything, but there's something about moving forward into new energy and very mindfully deciding who to connect with, because, as I say, this is sort of inevitable, and you've got to find the way to do it. I also feel like you get the wisdom of this ancient tree here, and it's grounded into the earth. This is like really, really connecting your mission here on Earth, pile 2. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you come to the reading with the Green Witch. And she's about fresh energy, new springtime, connecting to nature, feeling sort of joy and sort of innocence and the newness of life, all of that kind of thing. Now, the interesting thing about this is she's joined by the Merciful One and the Wizard. And I think what we're seeing here is a sort of step-by-step from here to here to here. Because the merciful one comes when there is some sort of major life change. She's a bit like the death card in the tarot. I will say that there is a possibility with her. There could be someone close to you that has recently passed on. What I will tell you is that my guide is very clear on never actually predicting that. So for anybody that resonates with it, it will have already happened. So if you haven't sort of lost someone close to you, it's not predicting that's going to happen. And it's more the allegorical concept of transition, change and so forth that we have with death and letting go of the old to let the new in. But if there is anybody who has lost someone, this is a sense that they are being, I'll just give this message, they are being looked after. You can know that compassion and empathy is there for them. They will be reborn very soon, I would say, or move into whatever the next stage is for them if you don't believe in reincarnation, and that this is a profoundly positive spiritual thing for them. And what they have brought to the world, to the relationships that you've had with them and so forth, will be recognised and rewarded. So it is a very strong message. If any of you have had that, there's a very strong message there about that. But what they're also saying is, even if that's the case, this is a prototype for an energy for you. Not that you're about to pass on. As I say, not that someone is going to pass on if it hasn't happened. But this, if you look at it allegorically, this is a transitional time and it's not always easy. So it's a change of some sort. For some of you, it may be that major life changes are occurring. So, you could have got to the point where you've grown up and you're about to move out of home and there's a change there and there's some loss in doing it as well as the excitement of the new. For some of you, you could be a parent whose children have just grown up and you're about to have empty nest syndrome, but then that also provides newness and the recognition for what you've done with your children and they've grown up and they're successful and you can actually enjoy that. For some of you, it could be going into retirement after working or going into a first job after studying. So there's some sort of transitional thing going on, and they're just some very practical 3D oriented ones. There could be something around you've done some studies spiritually and you've got what you could with that and you're about to sort of move into something new, because if you just stayed where you were, you wouldn't grow further. And this is how you eventually, with the wizard, become recognised for your wisdom, your spiritual growth, your skills and what you've done to help others, because that's the story. And whatever this is, whether it's about, as I say, for very specific, if it's someone that's passed, they are going to be recognised in heaven or whatever you want to say. But for you on this earth, a change that you're going through at the moment that may sometimes feel difficult, but at other times could feel a release, brings in a new energy. And this new energy will actually lead to you being recognised in some way and celebrated in some way. So it's very positive. This is a very positive message one way or the other. So let's get a little bit more idea about what it is. Let's then have a look at what is the real power or truth there. And then also, where could this mislead you or trick you, or they could have their own interests that they're serving by telling you this that you need to be aware of. It doesn't necessarily mean they're telling you something that's not true, but bearing that in mind. So a bit more about what they're actually saying to you. The Hermit, Justice, the Moon reversed, Ace of Cups, Seven of Pentacles, Six of Cups. Okay, all right. Yes, it's pretty much what I've just been saying here. There is something very spiritual about it, even if it's a material thing. But for some of you, it's finding a spiritual path that leads to a new job or some new contractual arrangement, and getting the information you need and things being uncovered so that you can follow your heart, let something grow. But it's very different. It's a change. So if it was in a workplace, it would be moving maybe from being a team member to being a manager, or moving from one organisation to another. There's a fundamental change. It's not looking backwards. It's looking forwards, and it's about growth. It's about growth in the new things sprouting and growing. It's about coming into recognition. It's about a new love, a new passion, something like that. And it's meant to sort of come up. It comes up out of the depths, out of the change is something that's maybe surprising or new around it. And even if you know what this change is, there might be something really that touches your heart in a way that comes out of the change you didn't expect. It is in balance. It is what's necessary at this point. Very spiritual, but it's future focused. It's a huge potential around it. but it's like the one thing that you can't do is try to recreate the past. Okay, so let's see what is really powerful in this message for you. What is really true in this message for you? Ace of Swords reversed, Eight of Cups reversed, the Emperor, Five of Wands reversed, Knight of Swords. Okay. It's you've yet to get to this. You're in this stage. You're in the either you're actually in the transition or you're feeling it's coming up. So as I say, you could be about to graduate. You could be about to move jobs. You could be about to move out of home. It's a potential that has yet to be fully realized. And there's a part of you that doesn't want to shift and change. That's the part that needs the compassion, the mercy and so forth, and the merciful one. There is some regret in that. But it's necessary for you to come into who you're meant to be. In fact, you will find when you step into this, you're much more aligned to yourself and feeling much more seen. Five of Wands reverse is coming out of conflict. It leads to the Six of Wands, which is recognition. So there's a sense here, this is you coming into a sovereignty. It's you coming into your own knowledge of yourself. Even though it may be very new, you can see what this could be, and it'll go very quickly. It will grow quickly, but you've got to move forward. That's very true. This is moving forward towards being recognized, being preeminent in something, graduating, whatever it is. And even though there's a bit of regret and you're not entirely sure where it's going, you'll know pretty quickly. So if something's going that quickly, you can, of course, misinterpret or trip up. So what do you need to be wary of or consider from a number of perspectives in this message, where there could be a trickster element, meaning, by intent or not by intent from the Fae? Two of Cups, Four of Cups reversed, Page of Swords, King of Wands. Okay. This could have profound effects on relationships. It could be about stepping into a relationship, and where that could work really, really well. Or if you rush into it to get past an emotional block, then I think it's all about not rushing. It's like things will move fast and let them move fast, but don't try and force it to rush faster than it is, because this is saying that communication, what you want to communicate out of all of this, what you want, the excitement you have, you want to get to like the King of Wands instantly, and it may be you're not ready for that yet. You have to grow into whatever this is. And that doesn't matter. You could be in your 60s and it's growing into a new creative skill or something like that. There is something here about it is going to go fast, and it is something that you'll be recognized for. But where you could go wrong is get overexcited and almost talk too much about it before it's fully realized. So there is a little bit of, keep a little bit of this to yourself as well, like a little bit of not telling the whole world till it's ready. And there's also something here, if it's around relationships, of making sure that you're connecting in, because it feels like the new relationship energy is right, and that you feel recognized and in balance with each other, not because you're just looking to come out of an emotional block and just be chosen. So it just depends on what it is. But I think it's the thing that could trip you up is the speed of this. But on the other hand, if you are aware of that and you kind of keep your counsel and you watch it and you wait till it's developing naturally, then it should be fine. Let's have a look at what spiritual strengths, witchy strengths you can bring to this. Ghost. I think this is the past. I think that there's sort of like, you're very aware of the past. You're very spiritual, actually, very psychic. You might have ghosts from the past. There could be, again, that sort of sense of like the kind of death analogy or whatever. You may connect to the past. You might be a natural medium, and that's fine. But I think it's a fine skill to have. But I think as long as it doesn't drag you into the past, because you are meant to look to the future. And crystals. Okay, so this is suggesting, I mean, I think their kind of abilities are kind of almost magical. I think it's saying you have mediumship. It's also saying you have kind of like crystal energy kind of reading, you'd be good with crystals. Really anything of the material natural world is good for you, and you're likely to get recognition. Also maybe having the right crystals around you to deal with this, like to give the sense of the new and excitement, but not to get overexcited, so that you can like keep your counsel till it's ready. And if you are processing sort of grief and letting go of something, the crystals could help you with that. Let's see some other advice spiritually around each of those. So around the ghost, around either making sure you're not tied to the past, or that you're using mediumship in a way that is helpful for this. Indigo child, Delta generation, born between 1988 and 1998. Now, you might be in that group, and I think that's just a confirmation. Yes, you're very gifted, and one of the gifts is mediumship. Beyond that, I just tend to say indigo child is an indication of psychic gifts. So I think there's a psychic connection you have with the other realm, with those that have passed over. That's also why, and probably with the merciful one as a Fae energy, you have a really strong connection with her. And then in terms of crystals, clairvoyance, clear seeing. Okay, you probably could read a crystal ball really easily. And crystals themselves may give you visions or whatever, holding them, looking at them, contemplating them. Really use that. There's sort of something here about being able to envisage what you want to grow and maybe the timing around it. I feel like it almost grounds you and slows you down in the way that you need to be slowed down, so that you don't speak of this until you're spoken of. It's sort of like you wait till you're recognized rather than trying to make the world recognize you. It's going to happen, and it'll happen quicker than you think, but it's just like something to help ground you. Okay, let's see the everyday energy around it. Toxic. Okay, so this is to make sure the past could be toxic. The fact that we've got the ghost, we've got the Six of Cups. Or it could be that part of what your spiritual gifts are going to help you with is knowing when something is good and when it's toxic, and to also make sure that you don't get into kind of toxic energy from giving something away too quickly, or saying something too quickly, or getting into relationships that just repeat some sort of emotional pattern. You're meant to be going into the new and moving out of the past. And we also get lemons. Okay, so that's very refreshing. It's new energy. When you have lemons make lemonade, as they say, like how to envisage a future that is actually going to bring you what you want, particularly if you're moving away from something that you didn't want. So let's get some advice on each of those things. So in dealing with toxicity, or the potential for toxicity, retreat. Okay. When you feel like that, when the past is coming back, when there's toxicity around it, retreat. Don't try and rush it through. Don't try and talk before you're ready. Just retreat. You're always able to do that. And because you're still going to head towards something where you're recognized for your abilities and so forth. But don't engage in the conflict if there is conflict. And around lemons, okay, don't rush. It's like saying don't rush. But equally, don't go. So don't leave when that is it. Like out of the lemons, you can get lemonade, but don't rush. There's something here about this will happen quickly, but it needs to happen quickly, naturally, as opposed to you trying to force it. And then it will work for its best. And it's kind of like keep your counsel until that happens. You'll see what it is. You'll be developing abilities, and you're going to be recognized. But let that happen. Let people recognize you rather than you self-promoting necessarily. That's what this seems to be saying. Let's get you some stars to guide you. North Node in the 4th house in Cancer. Be open-hearted. So yeah, be open. Be compassionate. Be merciful. Be open-hearted. Be open to what's coming in. So it doesn't close you off from people. We have Neptune in the 5th house in Leo, creative expressions of the heart. Yeah, like there is something creative about this, and there is something of the heart associated with it. For many of you, this will be about new relationship and moving out of old relationship patterns, I think. But for others, it's something that matters to your heart that you're going to be recognized for in terms of a change. You know, like I've graduated and I always wanted to be a psychologist, and now I'm going to be able to use that to help people, that kind of thing. And Neptune in the 7th house in Libra, deeply spiritual partnerships. Yeah, there is something deeply spiritual about this. And like part of what you're going to be doing, it says it there with the Hermit, with the Wise One. There's is it Wise One? Whatever the one was under there. But the sense of that kind of spiritual knowledge and spiritual recognition. And it will bring the right sort of, you will get the right people, whether it's in love or otherwise, with this, if you just don't rush it and you let them come to you. I think that's what this is saying. But it is a shift, and it is new. You have to be open to the new. Okay, so let's just get you a final piece of advice from the Enchanted Forest, where you would have come across the Fae. Instant manifestation. Soul and mind working together create a dream in the heart. In the heart. You have nothing to lose. You can let go of the past. You carry the dream. Your intention is pure. Be ready to receive. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like receiving it. It's going to happen quickly and naturally. You don't need to force it. Maybe in the past you felt like you had to force it, but it's like it's not. That's not what we're talking about here. Something new, a new opportunity, a new leveling up is coming. Just let it come in its own time. It's almost there instantly, or it'll feel like that by the time it happens, but you can't force it. Just be open to receiving, because that's what's coming through for you. And that might feel unfamiliar, because whatever you're changing and letting go of might feel like a loss, but that is so that you have room to receive. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.